Welcome to this explainer from Forge College. We are picking up exactly where we left off. So in our last lesson on memory efficiency techniques in Sealevel, we figured out how to save space and shrink that footprint down. But now, now we have to tackle the ultimate Sealevel engineering dilemma.
And that is, what happens when saving memory completely bankrupts your CPU? You see, optimizing one resource in Solana almost always drains the other. It's kind of like an endless game of financial whack-a-mole, right? You plug a hole in your memory budget, and suddenly your compute units are just screaming at you. So how do we strike the perfect balance between the two without totally crashing the application?
Let's look at our engineering blueprint for today. We've got 1. The linked resource budgets, 2. Fast payments, 3. Analytics and heavy state, 4. Complex multi-account interactions, and finally, 5. The decision workflow. Let's get right into it.
Part 1. The linked resource budgets.
All right, think of your Sealevel runtime resources as 2 linked bank accounts. But here's the catch. Saving in one means paying a massive tax in the other. On one side, we have compute units. These pay for executing instruction sequences and conditional logic, basically your app's brainpower. On the flip side, memory pays for account size, heap allocations, and in-memory data structures, your storage base. Every single choice you make pushes the needle toward one of these sides.
This creates a fundamental tug-of-war. As the saying goes, a single code change rarely affects only one resource. For example, unpacking all your data into rich, easy-to-read structs is going to save your CPU from doing complex branching, which is great, but it absolutely balloons your transient memory.
Section 2. Fast Payments Resource Strategy. Let's look at a real-world case study. Meet Client A. They're building a high-throughput payment router. Since this client needs absolute extreme speed, but with a relatively small state per transaction, their dominant constraint is keeping per-transaction CPU low. If they don't, they'll hit compute unit exhaustion the second burst traffic hits. They need raw speed, above all else.
So what's the playbook for Client A? The crucial move is to use fixed layout packed structs. This is what we call eager parsing. Think of it like eagerly unpacking your entire suitcase onto the hotel bed the literal second you arrive, just so you can find your toothbrush quickly. Sure, your clothes are taking up the entire room now, which means eating up more transient memory, but you are saving precious CPU time on the hot path. You're also minimizing branching and inlining that fast path code to keep things blazing fast.
Moving on to Section 3, Analytics and Heavy State. Now what happens when the requirements are just completely flipped? Enter Client B. They are running heavy computation over massive token holder lists. For this client, memory is the absolute dominant constraint. If they tried staging huge slices of account data into memory all at once, like our previous client did, it would instantly trigger out-of-memory limits, or they'd hit transaction size boundaries. The whole thing would just break. No way around it. To fix this, we prescribe streaming processing and something called lazy parsing. Instead of unpacking the whole suitcase, lazy parsing is like reading only the exact bytes you need as you blindly dig through a slightly unzipped bag. You process everything in very small windows. Now this keeps your memory footprint incredibly tiny, but it's going to cost you significantly more CPU cycles because of the repeated parsing logic.
Section 4. Complex multi-account interactions.
All right, this is where the training wheels come off. Our final client, Client C, has a pretty messy situation. Highly interactive flows with user profiles, complex escrows, and metadata, all requiring strong correctness invariance. Here, both CPU and memory are fighting for survival at the exact same time. Hitting the compute budget limit here is literally like your transaction hitting a brick wall at 100 miles per hour, all while your memory usage creeps dangerously close to the ceiling.
For this kind of beast, we advise splitting the workload into sharded transactions and implementing microbatching. Basically, you're accepting a higher total CPU cost and higher fees across multiple smaller transactions. Why? To maintain parallel schedulability without completely blowing up your per-transaction memory. It definitely requires explicit coordination, but it keeps the whole system stable and predictable.
Section 5. The decision workflow. Now that we've seen these specific trade-offs in action, let's distill this into a repeatable 4-step methodology you can actually use. Step 1. Classify your dominant constraint. Are you bottlenecked by latency or by memory? Step 2. If it's latency and small state, apply packed, eager parsing. Step 3. If you're memory bound, go with streaming and lazy parsing. And Step 4. If it's complex and both resources are maxed out, rely on sharded transactions.
This table beautifully summarizes your tactical choices in one place.
Packed parsing keeps CPU low but introduces out-of-memory pressure. Streaming keeps memory low but risks compute exhaustion. And sharding keeps per-transaction memory low, but the trade-off is higher total fees and a whole lot of orchestration complexity. You really have to pick your poison wisely here.
Oh, and one more absolutely crucial thing. Define explicit engineering thresholds. For example, make a hard rule like, if the working set exceeds 50% of the per-transaction memory limit, treat the workload as memory-bound. Setting these hard rules makes your design decisions repeatable, rather than just guessing in the dark and hoping your code compiles efficiently.
Finally, synthesizing the strategy.
How do we take all of this and put it into a single mindset? Well, resource allocation is essentially a mapping from your workload profile to your strategy. Optimizing execution in Sealevel is never just a single copy-paste trick. It is a deliberate mapping of your specific architectural trade-offs. Changing one resource budget inevitably shifts the other, so firmly document your expected trade-offs and failure modes before you even start rewriting your code.
Ask yourself this before you start building. Is your app fighting the Sealevel runtime, or is it dancing with it? Because once you understand these resource links, it really becomes an elegant dance. Thank you for joining me for this explainer today. Be sure to visit forge.college as an ongoing educational resource to learn more about optimizing Web3 topics and to access the rest of our advanced Solana concepts track. See you next time.